You can use the same prompt again and again, but if it still doesn't give you the result you want, the reason is often the slider settings. Welcome back to AI with TechSnap. In this video, I'm going to clearly explain the underrated influence sliders inside Suno and how they affect the music you generate. Most people focus heavily on rewriting prompts, but in reality, these sliders play a major role in shaping the final output. Once you understand what each one does, you can get more consistent results with far fewer regenerations. You'll find these sliders in custom mode under advanced options. Today, we'll go through the weirdness slider, the style influence slider, and the audio influence slider, and then look at how they work together. Let's start with weirdness. The weirdness slider controls how much freedom Suno has to experiment. At lower values, the AI follows the prompt and standard musical rules very closely. At higher values, it begins to break patterns and take creative risks. In simple terms, weirdness decides how predictable or experimental the result will be. To hear this clearly, we'll use a single instrumental prompt throughout this section. A simple, elegant classical piano piece. To test weirdness properly, we'll keep style influence set to 100% and only change the weirdness setting. First, let's start at 0% weirdness. This will be our baseline, where we are taking away the AI's permission to be creative. As you can hear, the result is very controlled and predictable. Exactly as requested, it is a simple and elegant piano track. Nothing unexpected happens, and the piece stays well within classical boundaries. This is great when you need a clean, reliable piano track. Next, let's move to 50% weirdness. Here, we're allowing the AI some creative freedom while still keeping the structure intact. Everything else stays the same. Only the weirdness value changes. Now the difference becomes noticeable. The classical foundation is still there, but you start hearing subtle variations. Some note choices feel less expected, and the phrasing becomes more expressive. This range often produces the most musical results because the AI sounds natural without losing structure. Finally, let's push weirdness to 100%. At this point, we're giving the AI full permission to experiment. Here, the structure begins to break down. The sense of melody can become unstable, and the piece may feel abstract or unpredictable. This is usually not ideal for a finished classical piece, but it can be useful for experimental textures or sound design ideas. So overall, weirdness controls how much creative risk the AI is allowed to take. Now let's move on to the style influence slider. Style influence controls how strictly Suno follows the genre or style you specify in your prompt. When style influence is low, the style acts more like a suggestion. When it's high, the AI commits strongly to that style. To demonstrate this, we'll use the prompt, a lo-fi hip-hop beat for late-night studying, relaxed and minimal. I don't have lyrics in hand, so let's generate them within Suno as well. For this example, we'll keep weirdness at 0% and only adjust style influence. First, let's set style influence to a low value like 10.
Soft glow on the platform. Coffee in a paper cup gone cold. Headphones half hanging, train doors closed. City humming my bones. Neon on the window, glass smear. Passing by apartments like scenes. Someone arguing, someone asleep. I watch them fade back in between. Last train home, eyes on the floor. City rolls by like an old home movie. Breath on the glass, write my name, draw a heart. Let the night just loop right through me.
At this setting, the track sounds okay, but it lacks focus. You can hear chill elements, but the lo-fi character is not very strong. The beat feels generic because the AI is not strongly guided by the style description. Now let's increase style influence to 100%.
Soft glow on the platform. Coffee in a paper cup gone cold. Headphones half hanging, train doors closed. City humming my bones. Neon on the window, glass smear. Passing by apartments like scenes. Someone arguing, someone asleep. I watch them fade back in between. Last train home, eyes on the floor. City rolls by like an old home movie. Breath on the glass, write my name, draw a heart. Let the night just loop right through me. Stranger swaying half in a dream. Old man clutching yesterday's news.
Here the difference is clear. The rhythm becomes simpler, the textures feel dustier, and the overall mood clearly fits the lo-fi study vibe. This is why high-style influence is important when you want clear genre identity and consistent outputs. So style influence controls how focused and pure the genre sounds. Now let's talk about the audio influence slider. Audio influence appears when you upload a reference audio clip. This slider controls how closely Suno follows the characteristics of that audio. It does not copy exact notes, but it can follow things like vocal tone, phrasing, rhythm, and overall energy. Low audio influence means the reference audio is used loosely, mainly as inspiration. High audio influence means the reference strongly guides the output. For reference, I'm going to upload this song I have named Sunshine Slowdown.
Waves roll up and kiss my toes. Sand so warm it soothes my soul.
Let's listen to it for a bit. As you can hear, it's pretty much a classic beach reggae track. This time I'm gonna opt for auto lyrics, and for style I'll type an indie folk song with soft male vocals and acoustic guitar. You see that we are making a completely different song than what we uploaded for reference. Let's see how Suno handles it. We'll keep weirdness at 25% and style influence at 85% and only adjust audio influence. First, let's start with a low audio influence value.
Dust on the dashboard, map folded, torn at the seams. Coffee in a paper cup, chasing the edge of a dream. Fence post leaning sideways, names carved deep in a rest stop tree. Mile after mile of nothing till the ridgeline finds me. Take me to the mountains in the west.
As you can hear, the result sounds very different from the reference. The reggae vibe is gone, the pacing is different, and the vocal delivery feels new. Suno clearly followed the indie folk style we asked for, but it didn't rely much on the uploaded audio. This is useful when you want inspiration without carrying over too much from the reference. Now let's increase audio influence to around 80% for a stronger effect.
Dust on the dash, sun in my eyes. Mile after mile, the fences fall behind. Rust on the sign, next town 55. But I pull off early just to stare at that sky. High on the western side, where the mountains cut the wide blue open.
Here, the reference becomes much more noticeable. You can clearly hear the similarity in rhythm and the vocal delivery. At the same time, the song is still in the indie folk style, but it follows the reference more closely. This range is especially useful for maintaining consistency across multiple songs, such as when using a persona or working on a series. So audio influence controls how similar the output is to your uploaded reference audio. When you look at all three sliders together, they each serve a different role. Style influence defines the genre. Weirdness controls how creative the AI is within that genre. And audio influence controls how closely the song follows a reference audio. You can adjust these sliders based on your needs, but understanding what each one does and how to balance them is key to getting the results you want. If you found this video useful, consider subscribing to AI with TechSnap for more practical breakdowns like this. I'll see you in the next one.